Today, we are so lucky to have Ashley Audrain on our podcast. Her debut novel was The Push, and it was a New York Times. It was a New York Times, Sunday Times international bestseller, and Good Morning America book club pick. Her second novel, The Whispers, is also #1 international bestseller. And I
don't read books, and she read yours.
So
there we go.
I haven't even read the book, but I know that's crazy, and that's not because of you, it's because of me. I don't really read books, but my daughter took grade 12 English in the summer, and they gave a list of books, because I think that when they're in grade 12 English, the book that they have to read it's like a big long one, and maybe it's like not like a Shakespeare, but like it's something like that. But it has whatever the theme of that book. These lists have the same kind of comparisons or whatever, metaphors, similes. I'm just using words that I know that they use in English. And so she ended up choosing The Push, and I feel like I have read the book because my daughter was just she read it so fast, and she's also not much of a reader. And we're both the conversations that she was having about what she had to write for her for the essay, I was so intrigued by the book. So it's like I didn't read the book, but I read the book. Yeah. And I ended up having so many conversations with her about motherhood. And I think she was kind of like, that's mom, can we just get back to the book? I'm like, yeah, but this is how women feel, and feminism and all of that. So, okay, I'll go back. That's how I found out about you. But can you just tell us what's your background in book stuff?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to chat with you guys. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. So thank you for having me on. It's so nice. It's so nice to get your message and to see that you're posting about the book. And that honestly, that means so much to me. There's as a writer, there's nothing you could tell me that would make me happier than hearing that a young woman has picked up the book and that it's ignited something in her, as someone who doesn't normally read a lot or wouldn't normally do that. And that it's opened up conversations with her mom. What is better than that, really? That's such I'm so touched to hear that. So thank you for sharing. So my relationship with sort of books and writing is I always loved to write. When I was the age that your daughters are, and if you had have asked me what I wanted to be when I was older, I definitely would have said a writer, an author, would have loved to have written books. And I was always sort of writing short stories, and I loved English class. I was very into that. I loved reading. And then you know what? It's so funny. I would look, we all, we sort of can make better sense of things sort of looking back, but I went to university, and I think I sort of thought that you couldn't be a writer,
I was just going to ask you that. I was thinking to myself, if our daughters right now said, I want to become a writer, it would feel like if my daughter was like, I want to be an artist. I don't want to.
At least there's actual art schools. There's not writing schools, right? You can go to Juilliard, you can go do something in the arts and textiles. Writing, there's not a degree in writing right now. Is there?
Yeah,
it's so different. You can go on to get your MFA, your master's. Some people will do an MFA. But that to me, after you do undergrad and maybe, study English in undergrad, but yes, exactly. I couldn't see, I didn't even know what an MFA was when I was I didn't know how to learn how to write.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's line art. Yeah, yes. So yeah.
Okay.
So I think to me, I grew up in Newmarket. I had never met a writer before. I had no exposure to anybody who was a professional artist of any kind, let alone making a living off writing. And I think I thought I just needed, and I had such an amazing university experience, but I think I thought I needed to go to university, learn something useful, come out the other side, being able to get a job and a paycheck to pay rent, And so writing is not a bad idea. And I just had to do that, And so I think, I wrote for the school paper and that sort of thing in university, which I love. but I studied media at Western, and which is an amazing program, and learned so much that you totally contributed to, like, how I see the world now and what I'm doing now and all of that. But I left university and got into public relations and worked in PR. And I worked in PR for, I want to say, I don't know, for a while, like 10, 12 years or so. And loved it, really loved it. And a lot of that time I was taking George Brown or Humber writing programs at night or on the weekends, like just sort of like community college stuff, where you'd have like a writing group that would get together and you'd work on something and share your work. So I was doing a lot of that, but it was just this thing I did that I like enjoyed. I didn't like pursue it. And I was really focused on my job. And then I had my son. I had my first child, and went on maternity leave. And which here in Canada, as we know, is a year. And so I thought, okay, I'll take a break this year, and stay home with him, and I'll definitely go back to work after, because I loved my job so much. And so I had my son, and he ended up being very, very sick, very ill. And was, a patient at Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto for a while. And it was complicated. It was heavy. It was so hard. It was like a very, very hard start to motherhood.
In that first year?
In that first year. Yeah. And so I realized very quickly with his health issues that like, I was not going to be able to go back to work after a year. Like, childcare was not an option the way, and it was just so overwhelming. And I just couldn't imagine. I just couldn't see a way to go back to work. And so around like 6 months or so, when he was about 6 months old, I was feeling so lost, and like that early motherhood, real loss of identity. You're giving everything to the experience, and then even more so, when you have a kid that has such high health needs. And I thought, the only thing I want to do is write. Like, this is the only thing I want to do is like get a babysitter for a couple hours, go down the street with my laptop to like the cafe down the street and just start writing. And I didn't know what I was going to write or how that was going to go, but it was like the thing I did, I think, to really return to myself or feel more like myself or get a piece of myself back in that crazy time. And so I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. And over time, I could see that something was sort of shaping. And then that became The Push. That became the book, The Push, over many years of work. But yeah, that's how it all kind of started. Yeah.
How long after your baby was born did The Push come out?
Ooh, good question. So, it takes a long time. I started writing in 2015. He was born in, I started writing in like 2015, 2016. And The Push came out in January 2021.
Wow.
So, and I had like a whole nother baby in that time. Like I had a daughter in that time too. So, but like it takes a long time. Like that is, years of sort of working on a manuscript in between having babies.
Did the second book take to come out faster?
It was fast. The second book I did faster. So, because I was on a deadline because when I got the book deal for The Push, it was for a 2-book deal. So I had to deliver the second book. I had a deadline and I had to write that one faster. But you guys know you publish books, you know how long it takes, but
very different
situation. It's a slow crawl to publication. Yeah.
When you say like you like return to writing for yourself, I was reading another Canadian author. I wish I remember her name. She has a bunch of books out all about like up north and like they're like summer books and
Carly Fortune. Okay. Carly Fortune, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I just recently started, and I read for the first time ever like her. Is it the foreword what you write about, like kind of how you got to the book, like how you got your in it, and it's like it's so easily. Another one came so easily. This was so hard. I sat there and I had to rewrite. And she's like, it was almost painful to write this because it didn't come naturally. And I was thinking for someone who like you, who lost themselves and then kind of found yourself, and then you have to go back and forth another version of another book to be another like, because writing is like an alter ego in a way, because you have to create. It's like you never really get back to yourself, but you love what you do, but you're creating another story of something that's, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird, but it's kind of like how you find yourself, by finding someone else.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's such a funny thing because, and I think sometimes like, like I'm not like, I'm not like writing about my life or myself in these books, but in a way, like it's coming from your brain, like it's coming from you, it's like it's your creative exercise, and whether that's in your subconscious or not, or, so I think, for me, I do feel like my writing's very personal, even though it's not, my exact story on the page or scenes from my life. So yeah, there is a lot of that. And I think with the push, I was really writing through something very much so. Like that was such a specific time in life. And I was writing about a woman, a character in the book. Blythe has a very unexpected experience with motherhood. It's very challenging. It's dark. It's like, she's questioning herself. She's questioning her child. She's questioning like, what even does it mean to be maternal? And I could really relate to that, although her story was very different. And then with this second book, I think the challenge for me with the second book was, also like you want to be obsessed with what you're writing, you want it to come from a place of like the thing you cannot stop thinking about, or the thing that's consuming you, or like the story or the character. Like you have to write 80,000 words. And so you have to, when you sit down at your computer every day, like it's got to mean something to you. Or for me, that's for me, that is very much the case. And so with The Whispers, my second book, it really also is sort of about this sort of time in life that I was at. I mean, when I started writing it, I guess I was, maybe like 3 or 4 years after I started writing The Push. And so now I had like toddlers and kids that were a little older, and I was older. I was like approaching 40. I was so I feel like I really very much, and that's a story about sort of, a street with 4 different houses, 4 different women who are all sort of in the same, time in life, but going through very different experiences of motherhood and marriage as well. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of real life reflected there on the page. And I can feel myself, like I just finished a third book, and I can feel myself. Yeah, I did. Yeah. But it's about a woman who is like my age when the character's my age. And so I feel like there's something so fun and something so satisfying and fascinating about writing about women who are at the exact time in life that I'm at, like with kids that age and dealing with marriage at that time and friendship at that time. That's just that's what I want to be obsessed with,
It's like you're a Facebook group that writes a novel, and then everyone's like, me too. Yeah. But you don't hear all the input back. You just get to put it as and then walk, it's so, because so many women are so lost in the identity of motherhood. And I think like we become obsessed with who are we, what do we do? And it's like, you had to like just write in order to maybe not know who you were, but it brought you back to part of what you were and who you were. Like but you're a new version. So you're not what you were, but now you have to figure out who you are. And then you change again, and then you change again. And so it's like, we're always chasing someone we never knew, or we're never going to know because we're not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fascinating to me to see writers have to step outside and write about themselves. And a lot of what like, when our daughters resonate with those conversations, it's like it's like they're mind blown, even though we've lived it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
You're like, that makes sense. You were it. You were the problem. No, not that you were the problem. I was here because of you. It's like, but they only see it from their perspective, not yours. It's like the cycle of life. Kind of crazy.
Totally. And I think that's what's so interesting, Nat, about the conversation that you had with your daughter is like, I think so often we all read for different reasons, right? We all like get something different from reading. And some people love to read experiences that are like, about worlds or people that they've never thought of before, can't relate to. Mm-hmm. And I think myself as a reader, I've always been this way, even when I was your daughter's age, probably especially when I was your daughter's age. I wanted to read. I wanted to learn at that age. I wanted to learn about womanhood. Like, I wanted to learn about like, what is this really going to be, And like we have, like your daughters, obviously they have like unbelievably lucky role models in the two of you and like the world you've created and what you do every day. But like most people your daughter's age don't, right? Like there's not a lot of honest conversations. There's not a lot of mom truths. There's not a lot of like I remember being that age And like looking around, and this is generational too, because we all had boomer parents who are different than, you know, millennial parents, I think. But like, I remember looking around and thinking like, what, are these women happy? Like, do they like, what is motherhood? Like, are these marriages working? Like, you know, I remember looking around and thinking like, I had this sense even as like someone your daughter's age who felt like, oh, there's a lot that's not being said here. There's a lot that's not being shared. There's a lot of like making things look a certain way, but like, what is the truth? Like, what are things really like? I remember, you know, and I wanted to find representation of that in books. And there was this one book that I remember reading called Dropped Threads. And it was an anthology. So it was like a collection of essays from a bunch of different women writers and the whole point of the essay collection was like, tell us the truth. Like, tell us the truth about what it means to be a mother. Tell us the truth about how marriage can feel. Tell us the truth about like going through all these, you know, different changes in life. And I remember devouring that book and just like, and there's three of them in a series. And like, I couldn't get enough of it. And because I wanted to know what the truth was. And like, my mom wasn't going to tell me, you know, like and so I think, you know, if we can look, if our girls and our sons, but if our kids that age can look to novels to sort of find that and have that experience, like what a great thing. And it's so great. Like I'll say too, the fact that her teacher would have this book on a reading list, like it's really amazing because, you know, there's some heavy stuff in it and there's a lot of real experience in it. So good for them for knowing that would be okay.
The book that you read that you were obsessed with before we suggest it to our daughters, is there a bright side to all the truths in those? Because sometimes I think about like our daughters will say sometimes, like husbands, dads, like almost like not in this way, but like, what are they for? Like in the Summer I Turned Pretty, the moms ended up spending their summers together and their husbands never came and they raised their kids together. And I think that our daughters have seen like when we're together and we're with our kids, it's just so easy and so fun. Like, what is this marriage? And also sometimes I remember my daughter when she was younger saying, now she's changed, but I don't want to have kids because this looks so hard. And my son's like, all of them are like, we would never have 4 kids. Like, this is so overwhelming. I'm like, you're living in a space that you think I've done too much, like had too many kids. And from that experience, you don't want that many. In those essays, is there some brightness? Because I mean, you read it and you still had babies and got married. Tell me there's some good stuff there.
Yeah, that's so funny. You know, and I do hear from a lot of readers, especially with the push, who will write to me to say like, oh, I didn't think I ever wanted kids. Like, I just had this feeling like I've never wanted children. And your book really validates that for me. You know, like, okay, that's an okay takeaway too. Because it is such a like tough portrayal of motherhood. But yeah, do you know what I feel like it's about creating a space where like womanhood can look many different ways and making all of those ways okay and taking the pressure off the table that, you know, you have to be maternal or like we expect you to get married before you have kids or I'll say no, like options, like it's like a conversation really, I think about options, like what are the options of what womanhood looks like? And you can still be super feminine and have like a beautiful experience of being a woman in the world without having kids. Like that is great. That's wonderful too. Or without being in, you know, a heterosexual relationship or whatever it is, right? Like I think it's really about, really about making it so that when they do make their decisions later in life, and as we know, because we all did, they'll change their mind 1,000 times, that whatever stage they're at, like they know that that's okay with you, you know, that there's no pressure or no expectation.
Do you think, did any men in your life read your book?
Yeah. Like I would say, they've all been like wildly supportive and like wonderful of it, I would say. But yeah, I think that it like created a lot of interesting conversation and for sure, you know, I think especially like I will say like in terms of men in my life, like obviously there's, there's like my partner and, but also like my dad.
I was gonna, I didn't know if your dad was, still with us or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, did he? Because that would be really interesting from his perspective, and looking at your mom probably differently too after reading it, right? Like, what an eye opener, because she's probably like, thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny because I feel like I didn't tell my parents that I was writing the book, or they knew I was kind of maybe working on something, but it wasn't until like I had the book deal and I knew the book was going to come out and it all started happening that then I told them, oh, by the way, I've been working on this book for, for however long. And they so excitedly, and like, they're like I have like the best parents. They're so supportive and so like amazing, but they were like, what's it about? And I think they were shocked when I was like, oh, like, it's about motherhood. I think my mom was like very shocked that I was writing this like thriller about motherhood, but they've been wonderful and like so supportive and great.
Were you like, here you go? Like, or were you like,
Yeah.
Because it is still when we handed our books over for people to read it, you're kind of like, okay, like, let us know, because it is
it's
personal, right? Like,
Well, ours is worse because they were actually our stories.
yeah, they were actually our story, but it is like vulnerable to share your thoughts and ideas. Did you think,
It is.
like, when you wrote it, were you like, this is a home run?
No, because I'd worked in publishing for a couple years doing public relations in publishing at sort of the tail end before I had my son.
I see it being
so yeah, exactly. But I had really seen in that world about how it's like I knew there were books that were out around the same time, like Gone Girl and Girl on a Train, that were like these thriller style novels about women. Like that was sort of what was in the air around that time. And so those are certainly inspiring, and like how the push turned out. But I saw in working in publishing that like you never know what is going to work. Like there's sometimes publishers will put so much time and effort and money and all the resources behind a book, and it's not a hit. And then vice versa, right? Like the hits bubble up from nowhere, and you can't really control it. And so I think I went into it with like very managed expectations.
It's like when someone's like, make this video go viral. It's like, it's the best video in the whole world, but if it just doesn't catch at the right time. But I feel like with a mother audience, you're always going to have there's always going to be moms who want to read that genre, or at least they should be encouraged to. Is your third book, like, is this always going to be your genre? Like these like motherhood, a bit dark, a bit like, is there always a question left at the end? Is that like your thing?
Yeah. I think I'll always write about motherhood and womanhood, motherhood, womanhood, relationships, like female friendships. I just find women endlessly fascinating. And I think, and I just feel like there's so many, as we get older and as we, move into different life stages, like we're learning and experiencing all the time. And I just want to write about all of that, I think. So yeah, I think I'll always write about that. And the third book is very much in that space.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I feel like, I love like a cliffhanger ending. I really, The Push and The Whispers both have a real cliffhanger ending where you're not quite sure. And I think as a reader, I just think that's fun. I hear from readers a lot who are frustrated by that, but
when I finished the book, I had to, I don't know, my friend Allison Lollardy?
Yeah.
I had to text her, and I was like, I needed to know the answer, because I'm like, you'll know. And she's like, that's the thing, Natalie. You don't know. I just want to know. And I realize it doesn't really actually matter. It's about what she went through as an process. And like, that storyline is obviously not relatable to a lot of women, like what actually happened, but the feelings around are like, we can take, like, I was saying to my daughter, like, I felt that way so many times when you feel like you're so in your head and you're so crazy and you're alone and people are just trying to just like placate you, like you're just tired, you're just this, and you're like, am I just tired, or is it more than that? And can I talk to my doctor about it? Or if I talk to my doctor about that, will everybody know? Am I crazy? Like, that is definitely how everybody feels. Whether or not she was crazy, I still don't. She was all. Did I read that this might be a movie?
Yeah, so it's I think maybe TV show. I think maybe limited series. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll see how that happens. It's sort of with the powers that be, and we'll just sort of see if it comes to fruition. But it would be really fun. It'd be
It would
great.
be so juicy. Everybody would love. These are the kind of like series that we need. Like there's so I go on there and I'm just like on there on my streaming apps and I'm just like there's so much shit here, but what's like something good that all the ladies are like. And also, definitely, I would love the boys to read that to see what the perspective of a mother.
And then for those, we never said what it was about when we did the book. For those who didn't read it, is really just about.
What's it about, Ashley? How do you describe?
So yeah, so I'll try to remember how I was describing it when it came out. So yeah, it's about a woman named Blythe, and she comes from a long history of mothers that have really struggled with motherhood. And she's very determined that her experience of being a mother is going to be different. And she begins, a lovely relationship with a man named Fox, and they have a daughter named Violet. And it's not long before she starts to think that something's not quite right with Violet. Something's not quite right with the way she behaves, or with her interactions with other kids. There's all these sort of signs to her that something might be wrong. But everybody in her world, everyone around her, can't see that, and they don't understand that, and they think really the problem is with Blythe and her lack of maternal instinct, or the way that she is mothering. There's like a mother-in-law who comes in to pick the picture, who's quite judgmental, and so the story really follows this sort of, is it Blythe or is it Violet? Like what is the problem here? And yeah, it's sort of a story of sort of, the way that we treat women, the way that we, what we expect of women, how we expect them to be as mothers, and also how we learn how to mother, how we learn if it's sort of a lot about sort of that nature versus nurture debate.
And then something crazy happens.
And then a few crazy things happen. Yeah.
With a sign of freezy. Yeah, like that, particularly that's when she had to do all of her assignments about it. It was all of that. And it was about like feminism and misogyny.
Let's get to the crazy.
Yeah, and that's right. But then there is, that you need a really good example of do you believe this woman or not? And that's what happens. And so I have to ask, have you seen the series The Girlfriend?
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. I'm on like episode 3. Yeah.
Isn't that like so relatable to, is it her or is it her?
Yes.
Is it her? And then, in the end, there's a little bit of something, but I'm like, but it's all about perspective, right? It's
yes, exactly.
Is it because I don't know if you're at the part, but you're going to see it from each character. Like,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Exact same scenarios, but through different eyes.
It's also like when your baby's crying and they're like, it's hungry, and you're like, it's not hungry. Mm-hmm. And they're like, feed it. And you're like, you fucking fed it. Like, it's like the thing where everyone tells you what to do and you have a million voices in your head. And then you're like, it's like you just don't know where to turn, and it's such a little example, but it's the one that everyone's looking at you when the baby's crying.
Yes.
And like,
yes,
it could be nothing is wrong. Like they're just crying, but no one tells you it's just crying.
And sometimes it's really hard to feel your maternal instincts, especially these days, with not just, so now you don't just have your mother-in-law and your mother and maybe like someone on the street. You have all of social media telling you what
you're going to traumatize your child by letting him cry. You know what I mean?
With all these voices, hard to know, like, was she, maybe she was maternal. There was just too many things coming at her that she couldn't like, it's like it's like your intuition. Sometimes everyone's got one, but can you get tapped in? And with all the noise, it's harder to make that connection.
Yes, totally. And in the second book, The Whispers, I sort of go into that more. Like the idea that where the title comes from is this idea that I think as women, we all have like a knowing, we all have like a certain knowing, and it's about like, do you listen to that whisper or not? Like, do you like hear the whisper and be like, no, that is not going to work for me. That is too inconvenient. That is like going to, fuck things up for me. Like, I can't listen to the truth. Yeah. Or do you like lean into it? Do you listen to it and do something about it? And that's at the sort of the crux of the second book. Because I think that is so much a part of womanhood, right? From the time that we choose our partner in life to the time that like when we get married or not, when we have kids, like even as our kids are getting older, like I know you guys have older kids are a little older than mine, but like once you like hit those teen years, like that's a whole nother like, tapping into your instinct of how you deal with things and how you treat your kids. And like with friendships and all of those things. Yeah. So there's something so interesting there.
Do we listen to the whispers? Should we listen to the whispers?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like, well, the book is really about like, the book is really about like this idea that they're always there. Like everyone has them. Like there are whispers in everyone's life is sort of the idea of the book. And sometimes in your life you listen and sometimes you don't. And so like, yes, you should, because it's always the thing. It's always the truth or the thing that you probably should be acknowledging. But is it the right time in life to pay attention to that?
It's like sliding doors. It's like, it's
People are going to read it and be like, did I listen? Am I listening? What am I? Is it coming? Oh no.
But then, because sometimes it's like, it wasn't the right time to listen to the whisper, and the journey to get to actually hearing it was part of your story anyway. It's like, had to prolong it until you heard it or you were ready to hear it.
I think so.
When is the third book out?
Yeah. What the heck? What's it called?
Oh, I know. You know what? It doesn't have a title yet and it doesn't have a release date yet. So I don't know, but I'll post about it as soon as we figure all that stuff out. Yeah.
Okay. And everyone else can buy your books everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere else. Everywhere books are sold. Yep.
Yeah. We know that line. Everywhere books are sold.
Everywhere the books are sold.
Don't give anybody too much attention. It's all equal.
We love everybody.
Everybody.
Thank you so much. I mean, I feel like I have to go and actually read the book, although I felt like I read every page, and then I had to read the whispers. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
And we can't wait for your third.
Yeah, and you're so lovely. And you know what?
Oh, thank you.
What's so great for you, and because we've got teenagers trying to find themselves and all of this.
Sweet, thank you.
You were so.
Oh, thanks, Pep.
You were so lucky that you had a passion and that you got to turn it into a job. You know?
Thank you.
Right?
You know, I think about this a lot. I feel like I cannot tell you. I am like grateful every day for having like to be able to do something I love every day, and the way that I came to it. Like when I see sort of how this all happened, I can't imagine it happening any other way. You know, it's like life happens when it's supposed to happen, and you sort of. It's so high.
But you had even just like doing those like night school creative writing, like even if you were like just doing it on your side, you didn't let go of what really inspired you. And I think like with our kids, it's like, you know, when they ask our kids now, like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I always say to them, you don't need to know now, but it's really hard. And when people are like, well, what are you good at? And they're like, they're like, wait, I don't know what I'm good at. Like, I'm just a teenager. So to already know, you know, what it is. Okay. So I'm going to end this now. We'll end it before we do that. And then I just wanted, did you go to, I am such I'm so hungry for information about universities now because I'm doing the tours.
Oh,
He just was the when you took media at Western, was it the school? Was it called MIT, the program?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
say the line. Is your daughter thinking about that?
So I just stumbled upon it because, again, like I said, she doesn't really know what she wants to be when she grows up, which I'm so for. And we just like hired someone to give a little bit of guidance to us because, again, I never applied to university. I didn't go to university, so I had no idea how it all went. And the woman had suggested this for Taylor, and I was like, I looked into it. I was like, what program is? I'm like, it wouldn't even be hard because it's your world, and it's your world.
That's how I felt.
It's your world from now till forever. It's not a specific job, but it's a skill that you can apply to every job.
Yes, exactly. I cannot say enough great things about this program. I think it is like, without knowing everything else that's out there, I think it is like I had the best experience in this program. And obviously I mean, that was 20 years ago. It's changed a lot since then. It was very new. So when I think it was like, it had just launched when I took it. It's like evolved, and it's just, but like my sister took it as well after me. I have like my cousin took it. Like we all, you know what? It's so much about, it's exactly what you're saying. The program is so much about like everything that is happening around you in the world. It is like current events. It is politics. It is like media literacy. It is like really thinking critically about social media, all the different messages we get. It really changed my life, that program. And I had so much fun. And I really felt like for the first time, like coming from, you know, like a pretty sheltered existence before university, I felt like I did. Like I didn't grow up in the city. I didn't, you know, and I felt like it just like blew open my world, just like the way I thought about everything and what I was exposed to. I came out such a critical thinker. I can't say enough good things about it.
I was reading over the courses and I was like, Kat was like, oh, looks like Natalie wants to go to university. But I feel like it's a no-brainer of interest to people these days, unless you have a specific thing that you want to get into. I was just like, I keep saying to my daughter and my husband, I'm like, can we please all go through this program together? Because I think that woman wasn't wrong to suggest it.
Oh my God. And even when there's like something interesting that happens in the world, like, you know, name it like 1,000 things that it's going on right now, I still always think like, oh, I'd love to be taking a course about this right now. And that program, like, I would love to know what the professors would like teach about this thing right now.
Yes.
Because it's all just so relevant and so alive and like it's such a good program. And you can do so many things from it. You know, you can do so many things from it. Like I did public relations, my sister does advertising, like marketing, media, like creating everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think like, you know, with how kids receive the news through TikTok now, if you could see it through like what you're actually seeing and what's actually true and what's the message and algorithms and all of that, it's just like, it's pretty fascinating. I think it's really relevant to like a young person that grew up like in this world.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it would really be a gift to be that age and be exposed to that kind of, you know, way of thinking. I love that. I felt like yeah, go for it. Oh, maybe I hope that might work for her.
I might. You might be careful. I might send you a message and ask you some questions.
Yeah, anytime. Message me anytime about it. I'd be happy to. And thank you. Thank you. And so nice. And Allison, lovely reader. Our mutual friend Allison. She's so great. She seems like
She's one of the top. She's been a friend since like 9th grade, and she loves reading.
She's such a good reader, a good advocate for books. Yeah, so great. Okay, well, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay, bye.